Because the real problem was that there was no way we were ever going to know. And to have that understanding there was no way to know is sort of really upsetting. You suddenly have to embrace nothingness.
The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all.
Tell you what, being an activist of any description is never easy. Coming out talking to public that majority of the time don't really give a shit. Just want to get on with their commercialised, freaking materialistic life. So it only compounds it when the weather is piss poor, it's cold, and most people just use town as a cut through because they're not really on the jollies, because the weather's shite. So I'm back here in Manchester. I'm here to see a couple of activists that I know and respect, do very good work, and that have been on the move relentlessly. So they're situated somewhere over there in Piccadilly Gardens, so I'm going to go and check it out, see what's going on. This is so uncanny. There they are over there. And where they stood is exactly where I was called a bleeding Nazi. This is bringing back some funky memories for me, I'm telling you. Piccadilly Gardens, Manchester. Oof, my word. So much has happened since the last time I thought about this place and the last time I was approaching this. There's a bit of a crew over there. See what's going on. Seems to be a little bit of interest. People are inquiring. Okay guys, I'm here in Manchester, here with Roxanne, Dolly Daydream and a few others. And I'm going to have a chat here with a chap called Jason. Now Jason, mate, are you the founder of what's going on here, essentially, or how would you describe yourself?
I just want to get some stuff done.
Yeah.
I just want to get out there on the streets. And today wasn't my idea. It was a couple of people that live here in Manchester. They contacted me on Messenger.
Yeah.
They just said, you know, when you come up to Manchester, I was meant to be. Sorry, I just realised there's a problem.
That's it. Go on.
Yeah, no, it's so I was asked to come here, you know, like, and do a bit of activism. We were meant to be doing it in the UK tour part of it, but we did Liverpool and then we skipped Manchester, you know, through not enough days and you know, like.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's get back here, and of course, yes, it's my banner, leaflets and that, and it's just a great place to bring people together and have a talk, have a conversation.
So what's your overall argument? I mean, we'll get into the activism part in a bit, because we've just had a good chat about that, about all the facets with activism, what it actually means.
Yeah.
But in terms of your overall argument, what is it you're here for today? What is it you want to say to people, essentially?
We want to question what it is that we've been told.
Yeah.
So where do we live, for instance? How do I know that I live on a globe ball? How do I know this personally? Well, my teacher told me. My mum and dad confirmed it. In my eyes, as an impressionable young kid, I didn't question that they had so much credibility as a small child. So when I go through my life, and all the many jobs that I've had, and all the many the years that have gone by, up until the age of 46 or so, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I still haven't questioned that. It's now a given. I know exactly what it is that I live. I live on this ball, this 1,000 mile an hour spinning ball with water all around it. I know this. Do I know this? Or is it a belief? But I was pretty sure that I know this. But it wasn't a given, it's a belief. So once I realised that all I had was beliefs, I thought it's time I need to examine this. Okay, so I accidentally examined this. I fell into it all through Dave Murphy. Come across Dave Murphy,
right.
And that was researching Free Man Off the Land and that sort of things. And then he started talking about flat Earth on a few videos, and I thought, oh my God, my credibility. So Dave's credibility went down the tubes, and I thought, oh my God, the guy thinks he lives on a flat Earth. This is ridiculous. What is he? You know. Dave just went one step too far. Okay, so I pushed forward on 200 quid, A Spinning Globe by Eric Dubay. Now once I did the first 15-20 minutes of that, I turned it off and went to bed, because that's ridiculous. they were saying things in 200 Briefs that really challenged my beliefs strongly.
What is it they were saying?
I think it was maybe the rotation of Earth and airplanes trying to land on this 1,000 mile an hour object, and was it the airplanes being lined up to a runway that is actually moving 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That kind of made me kind of...
It is a head twister when you think of the concept.
Right, so there's little things like that, and maybe lighthouses and things and all that, but I think that's a bit later on in the video.
So if we can just stick on that point, to counteract that, what's the logic that is commonly used to justify that happening? A plane in the air while the ball is spinning?
So they say it's the atmosphere and all that actually goes along, is velcroed somehow to the Earth's rotation.
Right. So it all moves in line with itself. But
if that's the case, that means that all the atmosphere down here on the ground must be travelling much slower than all the atmosphere further up.
Right.
Because as you go further up, it obviously gets wider and wider and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Lighter,
so hang on. So we're saying that it's kind of like Velcro down here, but it's somehow
it miraculously all equates as it
all the way up.
Yeah,
It's going really faster
right
at the top, and it's all tethered to each other. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it for a second. So I went straight to bed and I shut it off, went to bed, and I sat there looking up the ceiling for hours and thinking, this is, I couldn't get to sleep. I think it's like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, went back downstairs, watched the rest of the video, and then I'm off. I'm watching everything now. I did 18-hour days, watching, glued and watching everything. I had a few businesses at the time,
right?
And I watched all of these videos, 18-hour days. I kind of moved all my businesses to my kids and let them, because 4.5 months, 18-hour days, and at the end of it, I'm still a Glow believer. At the end of it, because I can't give it up. I'm kind of, my stomach's upside down. I know something's wrong, but I still believe in the ball, and something's wrong. And then I read that. The cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance is the best thing to do is to talk about what combines to get there. So you have cognitions, which are thoughts or pieces of knowledge. When you combine thoughts and pieces of knowledge into some sort of paradigmatic construction, we call it a schema or a cognitive schema. It's sort of how we interpret events, how we interpret the past, how we contemplate the future. There are all sorts of schemas. We need them for everything to interpret every little bit of our lives. But I just want to talk about two kinds. One is the social schema. A social schema is the schema that we use to help us understand our relationships with other people, whether it is a friend, whether it is a group of people, whether it is, for me, like my students or another professor. There's also self-schemas, and that's the ones where how we interpret who we are, how we think about the meaning of our lives, our past, our future. So one thing about the self-schema is that it tends to be the strongest schema that we have, the most stubborn, and that is because the more often you use a schema, the stronger it gets, and we tend to think about ourselves a lot. We think about how we're doing things, how we're going from point A to point B. So one of the things that happens when we exist in the world is that we are confronted with things that actually don't quite make sense to our schemas, whether it's our social schema or our self-schema. And when that happens, we have cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is exactly sort of what it sounds like. It's like that, it's the opposite of harmony. It sounds wrong, it feels wrong. Usually there's all sorts of definitions. My old social psychology textbook has described it as the feeling of discomfort you get when you're doing something and it does not make sense within the context of the way that you think about yourself. Usually it's something that is negative against your positive experience. You can imagine that would be kind of jarring if you had all these thoughts about your life. You're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Well, people react in different ways. So when you have cognitive dissonance, you need to resolve it somehow. Now, how do you resolve this dissonance? You change the way you think.
And it was that summarised exactly what it was I was feeling and going through. And then once I recognised, I let go of my ball, me spinning ball, 1,000 mile an hour spinning ball in space with water going around it. I let that go and then studied a little bit more with an unbiased view. And then that's kind of what confirmed to me that I know we don't live on that ball.
So now you've got the problem of convincing people that what their experience is cognitive dissonance.
I suppose I've had 45 years of cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
And I've only had a couple of years, if it is the other way, well, I've only had
Sure.
a couple of years of. And I think I know too much now for me to know. Is that a belief? No, I think I can prove all day long that we don't live at all. I can't prove what it is that we do live. It's observably flat. I think Roxanne called that term. It's observably flat. I accept that. Kicking and screaming, I used to be proud and called myself a flat earther. I was quite, I'm a flat earther. I'm quite proud of that now. And I stepped
Was
out
that just a
because-
knee-jerk reaction, as if to say, initially it's not spherical, but then
trying to label myself because
you were just coming away from the initial model?
Yes.
Right. Is that a trap a lot of people have got themselves into, in a sense that, has that done you damage in terms of thinking on an open mind? Because the perception is that, oh, you're a flat earther, so have you almost, or do when people want to entertain that now, have they put themselves in that mental trap because of the flat earth perception and the respectability it has or it hasn't got? Do you understand what I mean? Where in reality you still just got an open mind and you just know that it's not the shape that what you
But
believe.
you're right, it is a trap. I fell into that trap, and then because I'd labelled myself, I am this flat earther, then that comes with a lot of, I've now got to prove this.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because I can't prove that. I can prove all day long where it is that we don't live, and what all the anomalies, what the IAS says, what's it bring to the table, and what's it the moon landings. I can show you all day long all the anomalies and why that's all so wrong. But I can't really prove
The shape.
what the shape is.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's observably flat. So I accept that, that land may be flat. It could be infinitely. There could be a dome. There's lots to talk about, but I don't know.
Because the real problem was that there was no way we were ever going to know. And to have that understanding there was no way to know is sort of really upsetting. You suddenly have to embrace nothingness.
So I refuse to have a belief on what it is.
Right, okay. Well, that's a fair position to be at, though, is it not? What do you think the trouble is with people understanding that? Is it cognitive dissonance again?
I think when you first come out of this, I think you almost want to put that label in yourself. I'm a flat earther, and you want to look at people in the face and say, I'm proud of who I am. I'm a flat earther, and I kind of am. I still am, but not in a sense of having this conversation on the street. Can I prove that Earth is flat?
Yeah.
I can't prove that.
Yeah. You just know something's not right. So let's go back to the activism bit then. In terms of when you do what you do, what's the general reaction when you're just on city centres like this?
The general reaction, if we have a quick peek, it's actually pretty calm. It's occasionally you get the odd person who's triggered, that wants a argument, a point-scoring argument, but not bringing anything to the table.
Yeah.
They just kind of want to win some points.
Just dismiss you rather than prove their validity of their point. Right. Right.
So I think it has to be 95%, 90, a bit higher.
Yeah.
That it's all pretty nice, safe, calm discussions, conversations.
Because let's face it, Jason, I mean, you've got people here now that are just walking about in this materialistic, commercialised world we live in, but they'll have ultimate questions themselves. So when they see someone like you, that maybe encourages them to just have an open mind for a couple of minutes. That's all you're really doing. You're not trying to ram your opinion down anyone's throat, I guess.
That's where
Is
it's
that right?
developed and changed, because when we first went out there on the street, and I'll speak to them for myself, but I did hear a few others the same as me, Yeah, we were trying. I think I was going out to change people's minds to
Right.
become a flat earther. I was
Yeah.
convinced, hang on, I'm a flat earther. Then what's it? So I know I'm right, yeah, they're wrong, and I was kind of point scoring with them and having a debate on the street. Well, that was. I then learned, you know, like we started realising maybe from Harry was saying, no, well, what's it? This global deception, these global lies. You know, like, and maybe we should be on the street telling people what it is that we don't know. You know,
Yes.
like, and I think with Roxanne kind of coining that as well, you know, like globalist denier.
Yeah.
You know, like that fits better with me now. I kind of know now that any conversation that I have now, I'm not going to change anybody's minds. I'm not going to change anybody's mind. I'm hoping to give a seed. Can you go?
That's all you can do. That's the best way to do it. Yeah.
It's easy now.
And then you're relying on the individual a lot, but then I guess all this is about the individual anyway, because it's about self-empowerment. You can't give anyone self-empowerment. They've got to do it themselves. And if it takes a conversation from yourself, yeah, you go away. It may take 6 months for any of this information to kick in. It may be just a loose program or something they've seen, a documentary, and then all of a sudden, boom, they come back to here and go, hold on.
Hang on, need
Right.
to re-examine that.
So I guess that's the most natural way of activism. It's
Yes.
inviting people to just be open
So now it's become easy. Now it's just a conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a conversation.
Rather than
And-
you go to them, let them come to you.
So I'll, for myself, I'll try and point out if they are point scoring or, you know, like, it frustrates me, you know, like, because we can't have a conversation then because there's one or two people that just want to point score again and like, hang on, come and listen to what I've got to say and go away, debunk this yourself. You know, research it yourself, debunk it yourself, and come up with your own, arguments. But somewhere else, not here in the cold and in the wet on the street. Let's just have a discussion on the street, just a conversation, a light-hearted, friendly conversation.
What harm are you doing? I mean, you know, the world is born on that. Ingenuity is born on that. The exchanging of ideas and beliefs. You know, it's almost like if you're not going to engage that, we're not truly evolving as individuals. When you're just prepared to close each other down and you've got to live by a certain conformity bias, it does seem like we're going backwards intellectually, I would say. So going to the activism side, I was thinking this on the way down, that it is really hard being an activist per se, because you've got your own thoughts and you want to kind of change other people's opinions in a way, but we've discussed that.
Yeah.
With the weather, the places, the facilities, the money, and, you know, just...
It gets expensive.
It does get expensive. It gets a lot of hard work. And I guess you don't get too many fruits in the sense that you don't see ultimately people just changing their mind around you all the time. Like you say, they'll go away and do it. So it's a kind of like a thankless job in a sense, but I guess you do see some fruits. So the world of the activist, we come here on a Sunday now. It's absolutely crap out there. Luckily, you've got Undercover. What makes an activist go through all this in order to do? What is it that's...
Other activists coming out for the first time and having this camaraderie, you know, like-minded people, and rolling up the sleeves, getting stuck in, and talking, having the conversation themselves for the first time. We just seen, Dolly just turned around and said that I'm not doing any of that. I'm not ready for any of that. I can see there talking to someone just a minute ago.
Yeah. So she is in a way, but she's just doing it in her own way.
It's you'll get a bug. You'll get a bug.
Yeah.
It's seeing these faces of all of these new activists coming out and speaking to people and perpetuating this conversation.
You were saying before that you was in Manchester. What was it? A couple of years?
It was a couple of years ago. And it was just on the bridge over there.
Is there any improvement with the outcome, with the way people are reacting, with the numbers? Is it any different, or is it no different?
No, it's about the same. It is about the same, just different faces.
Yes.
Different faces.
Well, that's good then.
Yes, because
Better.
it'd be nice that all the faces that aren't here will they'll be doing something else somewhere else.
Right.
You know, and whether they're actually out on the street, I can guarantee you that they're at least talking about it. It
Yes.
might be just with the next door neighbour or whatever. But,
Yeah.
but once you've become an activist, you can't shut your mouth up.
Jason, I mean, when you said that, when you initially have this inquiry within your own thoughts that something's not quite right, isn't that the most scariest time to then come out of your closet, in a sense, and then explain yourself to people that are still going under the cognitive
And then with
dissonance?
family and friends and all that, you feel like you get stones thrown at you.
Yes,
And
in an
that's-
intellectual way, and you're getting respectfully downgraded.
My credibility level was getting, shrinking by.
But all the while, you feel that you're on an enlightenment course, and your vibrations getting higher. You're getting more of an enlightened soul, in a sense, in terms of knowledge. But yet, the perception is the 180 of that. That is the weird thing about activism, about kind of learning. You know, and having that relationship with people that are not only not willing to take that information on board, but are quite happy living in their life knowing what it is. And that's the difficulty. I mean, I spoke about this with Dolly. I mean, a lot of people can have real mental issues getting this fact, learning all this, but then appreciating that people on the outside, where they're at, and their reluctance to kind of come along with you you know what I mean? It can do. Can you speak to that? Have you got any personal experience?
You yourself, you went along to one of the meetings.
Yes.
And until you actually meet up with like-minded people,
Yes.
there's people out there for the first time that never met anyone who's like-minded. And it's a big deal to interact with someone who's thinking the same way. Because once I kind of like knew first come out, and even when I was researching it, my entire family and friends were kind of thinking, oh God, he must be he's off his rocker. He's gone nuts. And then when I knew, I had to back away from actually talking to my family about it because of friction.
Yeah.
Too much friction.
Yeah. It can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Successful interaction.
Have you just had?
I had a
Brilliant.
successful interaction.
Awesome.
And that woman who was difficult.
And this is what it's all about.
Okay.
Interacting.
Hi. You're Redfield Hill.
I am
Nice to
indeed.
meet you.
Hi, yes.
Take your
I'm sorry. So you've just mentioned that you've had a successful interaction. Do you want to explain what that entailed?
To me, a successful interaction is if they either engage in conversation or do not get triggered, or get triggered and then come back around and say, maybe I'll look into that. And that man just went away. First he had this whole theory of his own about the atmosphere. It was kind of a vague idea of what the atmosphere does for our visuals. And I discussed the perspective idea and the curvature drop. And he went away saying he didn't want to leaflet, but he was going to hit the shoreline. So
Wow.
I thought that was a successful interaction.
Wow,
Yeah?
wow.
Yeah.
So he's planting the seed again, going back to what we're saying, you know.
You can't hope for anything more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my mind I think, well, he's weak-minded, this person. He must be really weak-minded to just that you're going to believe what this random woman in the street and just believe everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's no
Well, that
good
would be
because
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why would they believe what a random
Yeah.
person says?
No.
They need evidence and
they
they
would
need,
change so quick when
Yeah.
they get home and get on the internet. And
they
just,
need a method. They need a method to look at it themselves.
They've got to get there themselves.
Yeah, it's a journey.
So the other woman was very reticent to take this on. I think she's studying science, and she was trying to hand back the leaflet to me.
Right.
So I thought that I was failing. And then I went through the curvature math again with her, and instead of throwing the leaflet back at us, she went away with it. So that was a bit of
Another win.
Yeah.
It can be hard sometimes because I come from, when I'm talking to people, I'm doing it in a very basic, Nora might do it in a bit more of a mathematical talk as well,
Okay.
and offer a little bit more, because she's got some education to back her up, and have a bit more of an educational talk with people that I can't do. But that's okay, we can still get them to the same place.
Certainly.
And we get them both to research this.
Certainly,
that's what it is.
certainly. So you were saying that you're very busy. We're going back to the activism again. What you kind of got in front of you. I don't know where you get the energy from, personally. Can you just explain to
Okay, it started off with Harry. I am Harry John Smith Globe Live.
Right.
Okay, it started off with him. It's all his fault. It is, and I'm so annoyed by it. Sorry, Harry.
Yeah.
It started off. I'm pretty much. I'm a busy person. I had businesses and all that, and because I had businesses, I was very lazy as well. So my spare time, it's really precious to me, and I wanted to vegetate and do nothing more than just watch telly. That's I just want to vegetate.
Who saved your life?
So Harry kind of like it was every 5 minutes. It's like phone up and let's go somewhere, let's do something. He wanted to push me, and all for the better, And I think without Harry, I don't think I could have carried on. It was Harry that got me to where I am here now, and now I'm the first at the door. Now I'm waiting for everybody else and say, "Come on, you lot, what's
Wow.
going on?"
Because that does demand energy when you're doing what you're doing in streets like this, when it's cold, when it's wet, when you're fighting against the grain intellectually the moment that you're thinking about doing it, and you've got an uphill battle convincing people walking past. I mean, it does take a lot within the spirit to go, right, I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to do it not only today, I'm going to do it tomorrow
Even
as
just
well.
Continual speaking. It's
Exactly.
Like giving a speech.
Yeah, because honestly, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've been in Rochdale all yesterday. I was doing another march, was on my feet all day outside. I got here today, the weather, and I'm like, I just want to go home and
Really
kind
rains
of
with-
get on with my footage and just work with that. And it's not that I didn't want to come here, it wasn't, it was just the fatigue of it all. So that's why when I started the conversation,
I'm immensely positive now.
right?
Immensely. I figured out that if we've been lied about this, so we have been lied about this. What's the truth? So I've re-examined every part of my life, literally from what I eat, from what I put on my hair. I've re-examined the whole lot, everything, and I've redesigned myself on my life. I've designed myself on who I am and what I do. Which is not just been indoctrinated to follow what mum and dad or the teacher said.
Yeah, but that's true empowerment then, isn't it, really? Individual empowerment.
Yes.
Right.
So who I am today is literally, that is exactly.
So you've had to literally
who
go
I want
through,
to be. So I'm really positive about life now.
recalibrate. Certainly. So that's going through the red pilling section and coming out like almost from the water with a breath of fresh air, knowing that you're in the place that you want to be.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
I mean, I say we've been out doing this in the snow, in blizzard conditions and stuff like that, handing out leaflets and all that. And I tell you what, every one of us had big smiles on our faces.
Excellent. So what's the plan today? How long do you plan to stay here today?
I would imagine anywhere around about 5ish.
Right.
And then we're going to make a mad dash rush to the Birmingham meet-up at Charlotte's.
So this is what I'm saying about the activism fatigue. So you're going somewhere else today, and then what else is going to transpire this week?
No, we just got after that. We're going to obviously we've got to get home. Then I should get home about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I live like Painting Devon.
Okay.
So it's a first press.
Wow. Yeah.
And then it's Speaker's Corner next Sunday.
Wow. Well, I've got to admire you for your energy, certainly, sir. And I'm loving just engaging in this conversation anyway. Well, thank you for the time anyway, Jason. And good luck. Good luck with everything going forward. Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it's a question of people are going to wonder now, do I believe this? Do I believe it? I believe anyone's got the right to question what the hell is going on. I believe ultimately the populace on this planet, on this whatever it is, ultimately don't know what is going on in so many different facets. This is only just another facet. There's so many mysteries, there's so many narratives that go against what is actually going on in the world. There's so many ways that they steer you to a conclusion, which then probably garnishes the cognitive dissonance, which makes it hard to break that over the years. So I think anyone who's truly got an open mind can ask this question and not even really give a shit about the ridiculous angle that it puts them in or whatever. Because the bottom line is that's to have a true open mind and to be able to question anything is truly enlightening. So yeah, no, I think we've got the right, and I commend them for having the stamina to go through it all, And they are decent people, Certainly not trying to cause any harm to anyone. Certainly not trying to spread the message for their own gain or for anything like that. It just seems that they're just spreading the love in terms of their waking up journey. So fair play to them. Fair play to them.